Have you ever felt like something's off, even if you couldn't quite explain it? Like there's this pattern playing out in front of you, but it's just beneath the surface. You see it in certain women, not all, but a certain type. The kind that refuses to grow up. The ones clinging to fantasy instead of facing reality. And when life doesn't give them what they want, they either fall apart or turn on the people around them. If you've ever found yourself drained, manipulated, or blamed by someone like this, chances are you've seen the pattern. And no, this isn't about pointing fingers or turning this into some attack. This is about understanding. Because immaturity isn't always a phase. It can be a mental cage, a mindset, and it's a lot more common than most people want to admit. Here's where it gets deep. Immaturity isn't random. It's not just someone being silly or naive. It's a defense mechanism, a shield built around fear, often fear that's buried so deep, even the person living with it doesn't fully see it. And that's where psychology steps in. Carl Jung, the famous analytical psychologist, spent years diving into this. He studied archetypes, universal patterns that show up in all of us, especially in how we experience the world. And when it comes to women, he identified a few major ones: the girl, the princess, the wife, the sorceress. Each of these represents a kind of psychic stage or mindset. But the thing is, some people never evolve out of those roles. They get stuck, not physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. They may grow older, but they don't really grow up.
Now here's the tricky part. Society doesn't exactly help. In fact, it romanticizes this kind of behavior. Think about it. We often praise women for being delicate, emotionally tuned in, even morally superior. But the truth? The female psyche, just like the male psyche, has shadows. And those shadows, they often wear masks that look like sweetness, innocence, or even fragility. Let me ask you something. How many times have you seen a grown woman act out like a child when she doesn't get her way, throw a tantrum, shift blame onto everyone but herself, her dad, her ex, society, fate, anyone but her? That right there, that's what psychologists call arrested development. A fancy way of saying someone stopped maturing emotionally. Now let's break down how Jung's archetypes show up when this emotional development stalls. First, there's the girl. This one's the most obvious. She doesn't want to grow up. She expects others to provide for her, protect her, pamper her. Her fragility? It's often a performance. When she faces a challenge, she doesn't reason, she cries. She doesn't negotiate, she manipulates. Deep down, she believes the world owes her something, and when it doesn't show up for her, she breaks down. And society? It enables her. We're told it's okay to be soft, that there's strength in vulnerability, that someone will always come to help. But when real life hits, when bills show up, relationships fall apart, or hard choices come, she's unprepared. And instead of growing, she collapses. Next comes the princess. This is where immaturity levels up into entitlement. This woman believes she deserves the world on a silver platter. Effort? Optional. Growth? Not required. She thinks love, success, and happiness should just appear because she's her. And when reality doesn't play along, she doesn't adapt, she explodes. She lashes out. She takes it personally. She thinks she's the center of the universe, and if the world doesn't orbit around her, something must be wrong with the world. But the one people fear the most? That's the sorceress.
This is where immaturity turns into power. Real, calculated power. She's not just fragile. She's not just entitled. She's strategic. The sorceress knows how to manipulate emotions, twist narratives, and play people like pieces on a board. She doesn't want connection. She wants control. She doesn't seek love, she wants power.
and she's mastered how to use her appearance, her emotions, her pain as weapons. She avoids vulnerability not out of fear, but because she sees no use for it. For her, emotional manipulation is currency, and she knows how to spend it. But before you label anyone with these archetypes, pause. This isn't just about individuals. It's not about bad women or blaming anyone. This is about something much bigger, a system that encourages this behavior. Because for centuries, society didn't just allow female immaturity, it rewarded it.
Let's zoom out for a second. For most of history, women didn't have the freedom or agency they do today. They couldn't own land, they couldn't vote. They relied on their fathers, their husbands, or their communities for survival. So over time, certain behaviors became survival strategies. Being soft-spoken, being indecisive, even being helpless. These weren't flaws, they were tools, ways to stay safe in a world where control was out of reach. Now think about that. If you lived in a time where your safety depended on someone else, wouldn't you do whatever it took to make sure that person kept you around? You'd act small, you'd act sweet, you'd downplay your strength. That's not weakness, that's adaptation. And it worked. The problem? The world changed, but the programming didn't. We're now living in a time where women can be independent, where they do have rights, where they can take control of their lives. But many still carry the psychological residue of that old world. That's the real trap. That's the outdated script still running silently in the background. It tells women, stay small, stay soft, someone will protect you. But that promise? It's no longer guaranteed. And when it fails, when there's no one there to pick up the pieces, that's when the panic sets in. That's when the immaturity isn't just a quirk anymore. It becomes a crisis.
So what does that look like? Well, when the girl realizes no one's coming to rescue her, she falls apart. When the princess doesn't get the fairy tale, she rages. And when the sorceress sees her manipulation no longer works, she turns bitter. That bitterness, that's where we get the next stage, victimhood as empowerment. It sounds like this: men are trash. I'm strong because I don't need anyone, but also it's everyone else's fault I'm alone. I shouldn't have to change. The world should accept me exactly how I am. It's a strange paradox, rejecting responsibility while demanding respect, wanting full freedom without accountability. And underneath all of it, fear. But not the fear of rejection, not even fear of failure. It's something deeper, more primal. It's the fear of losing protection, the fear of truly being alone. Because growing up, really growing up, means accepting that no one's coming to save you. It means standing on your own, owning your decisions, facing consequences. And that's terrifying.
Now here's where things get uncomfortable. We like to believe that immaturity is just a phase, that everyone grows out of it eventually. But what happens when it doesn't go away? What happens when immaturity becomes a weapon, when it turns into sabotage? Because make no mistake, some people don't want to grow up. Not because they can't, but because staying immature gets them results. Think about it. Tears get attention. Drama gets reactions. Fragility gets protection. And society, whether we admit it or not, is still wired to protect fragile women. You've seen it play out. The woman who breaks down when held accountable, the one who uses emotional outbursts to shut down arguments, the one who plays the victim in every failed relationship. And you know what's wild? It works. It still works. Not always, but often enough that the behavior gets reinforced. And that's the danger. When immaturity gets you what you want, why change? Now again,
This isn't about blaming women. This is about calling out a pattern that's been culturally programmed for generations. And more importantly, it's about asking who's willing to break it. Because breaking it isn't just hard, it's painful. It means letting go of the inner girl who made you feel protected, saying goodbye to the princess who thought the world would bend to her needs, even walking away from the sorceress who learned how to bend others to her will. It means looking in the mirror and saying, if I want to be powerful, I have to be responsible. If I want respect, I have to earn it. If I want freedom, I have to own every part of my life. That's not just growth, that's transformation. But it comes with a cost, and not everyone's willing to pay it. Because once you wake up, once you truly grow up, there's no going back. You don't get to hide behind innocence. You don't get to cry your way out of conflict. You don't get to play weak when it's convenient. You carry the weight, all of it. And that's the real challenge. Maturity isn't a reward, it's a burden. But the alternative? Staying stuck? Living in a loop of self-sabotage and emotional dependence? That's far worse.
Let's take it even deeper. By now, we've talked about how female immaturity can stem from fear, from old survival strategies, from society rewarding fragility over growth. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Immaturity doesn't just stall your life, it slowly poisons it. It leaks into everything: your decisions, your relationships, your work ethic, your potential. It's the invisible force behind dreams that never get realized, goals that never get finished, relationships that always seem to fall apart. Not because the world is against you, but because immaturity keeps you stuck in a cycle of avoidance. And here's the scary part: most people don't even see it. Because immaturity doesn't always look like helplessness. Sometimes it wears confidence like a mask. It hides behind charm, beauty, wit, even intelligence. But underneath, there's a fear of real responsibility, a fear of true self-reflection, a fear of being exposed, flawed, imperfect, and accountable. And for some, that fear becomes so strong, they flip the script entirely. They stop acting like victims and start acting like manipulators. They realize that staying immature can actually be a form of power, especially in a society that often shields women from criticism. They cry to escape consequences. They play helpless to avoid accountability. They twist words, gaslight partners, flip narratives, not always out of malice, but out of habit, because it works. And that's when immaturity turns dangerous. This is the sabotage nobody talks about: emotional sabotage, relational sabotage, even self-sabotage. It's the woman who destroys healthy relationships because they require vulnerability, the one who ruins opportunities because responsibility feels suffocating, the one who surrounds herself with drama not because she wants chaos, but because stability feels too unfamiliar, too boring, too confronting. You want to know how to spot it? Look for the patterns. Every breakup is someone else's fault. Every conflict ends with tears or rage instead of conversation. Every challenge is met with avoidance, blame, or manipulation. And when life gets hard, there's always someone else to point the finger at. Now again, this isn't about shaming anyone. This is about clarity, about awareness. Because until you see the pattern, you're trapped by it. And not just women, men enable this too. Some men fall into the rescuer role, always saving, always fixing, never realizing they're just feeding the same cycle. So what's the way out? It starts with one brutal realization: no one's coming to save you. Not your father, not your partner, not society. The grown-up version of you, she's gonna have to do it herself. And that means killing off the old roles, the ones that kept you small, the ones that made you feel safe but stopped you from growing. It means confronting the parts of yourself that enjoy being taken care of, that avoid hard conversations, that rely on charm or emotion instead of integrity and accountability.
It means embracing maturity, not because it's glamorous, but because it's real. Real maturity is quiet. It's not flashy. It doesn't get likes or sympathy. It means making hard choices when no one's watching, owning your flaws without defending them, carrying burdens without broadcasting them, being okay with not being saved, not being praised, not being understood. It's lonely at times, and it's hard, but it's also liberating. Because once you walk through that fire, once you stop playing the girl, the princess, the sorceress, you become something far more powerful. A whole woman. A woman who doesn't beg for love, she builds it. A woman who doesn't seek validation, she creates value. A woman who doesn't hide behind drama, she faces life head-on with clarity and self-respect.
A woman who doesn't hide behind drama, she faces life head-on with clarity and self-respect. And the truth is, that woman is rare. She's often misunderstood, sometimes judged, but she's free. And in a world that constantly tries to box women in, that freedom is the ultimate rebellion. So, where does this leave us? It leaves us with a question, a challenge, really. Are you willing to grow up? Not just age, not just achieve, not just appear strong, but truly grow up, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. Because if you are, get ready. It's going to hurt. It's going to strip away your illusions. It's going to demand everything you've been avoiding. But it's also going to give you back something you didn't know you lost. Yourself. The real you. The woman under the masks. The one who's not scared of responsibility because she understands it's where real power begins. And that's the kind of woman the world needs right now. Not more princesses waiting to be saved. Not more girls pretending to be fragile. Not more sorceresses casting spells of control. But women who are awake, women who are real, women who are done playing games. So here's the final truth. You can stay asleep and keep playing the role. Or you can wake up. Just know this, waking up changes everything.